I paid $92,000 for my son's wedding, then got banned from his life 2 weeks later. That is when I canceled all 43 vendor payments. Julian thought he was smart. MBA from Georgetown, fancy job at a private equity firm in Charlotte, new wife from a family of attorneys. They had it all figured out. Get the old restaurant owner to pay for everything, then have her declared mentally incompetent so they could grab what was left. $24,000. That is what the nursing home deposit cost, the one with my forged signature that showed up in yesterday's mail. I did not scream, did not beg, did not even feel shocked. I just sat at my kitchen table, looked at that receipt, and started laughing, because Julian made one fatal mistake. He assumed a 60-year-old black woman from East Memphis could not outsmart a Georgetown boy and his lawyer wife. Poor child never learned the first rule of running a business for 40 years. Always know who you are dealing with before you try to take what is not yours. The nursing home deposit arrived on a Tuesday morning, plain manila envelope with Willow Creek Senior Living printed in the corner. I opened it expecting some marketing brochure, maybe a newsletter for local seniors. Instead, I found a receipt for $24,000. Deposit for Premium Memory Care Suite, the paperwork said. Resident name, Cheryl Marie Donovan. Payment received June 8th. Signature on file. I stared at that date. June 8th. 2 weeks ago. I had been nowhere near Willow Creek Senior Living on June 8th. I had been at my church helping coordinate the food drive. Had 30 witnesses who could confirm I spent that entire Saturday sorting canned goods and organizing volunteer schedules. But someone had signed my name. Someone had given Willow Creek $24,000 of my dollars, and someone thought I was too old and confused to notice. I made myself a cup of coffee, sat back down at the kitchen table in the house I had bought after selling my restaurant, the house Raymond never got to see. This little place in Fraser with its creaky floors and outdated kitchen, nothing like the home we had shared for 38 years, but it was mine. Paid for with money from Donovan's Soul Food Kitchen, the business we had built from nothing. The business I had to sell to pay for Raymond's medical bills. The business that turned into $853,000. The money that was supposed to last me through retirement. The money Julian and his new wife apparently thought should be theirs instead. I picked up my phone and called Willow Creek Senior Living. A cheerful receptionist answered. Willow Creek, where every day is a blessing. How may I help you? This is Cheryl Donovan. I received a receipt for a deposit I did not make. Oh, Miss Donovan. Let me pull up your file. I heard typing. Yes, here we are. Your son Julian arranged everything. Such a thoughtful young man. He toured our memory care facilities 3 weeks ago and put down the deposit to hold your suite. Very eager to get you the care you need. My son Julian. What did this thoughtful young man look like? The receptionist paused. Well, he was very professional. Nice suit. Maybe late 20s. Oh, and he had his wife with him. Beautiful woman, attorney, I think he said. Madison Pierce. That is right. You know her? I know her. Can you tell me what time they came in? The typing resumed. Looks like they had a 2 o'clock appointment on June 8th. Signed all the paperwork. Your son said you had been having some memory issues, and he wanted to make sure everything was arranged before things got worse. Very responsible of him. And you saw him sign my name to those documents? Oh no, ma'am. He showed us your power of attorney paperwork. Said he had legal authority to make medical decisions on your behalf. We made copies for our records. Can you send me those copies? Of course, we will mail them out today. I hung up and sat very still. Power of attorney. Julian was telling people he had power of attorney over my medical decisions, over my finances, over my life. Except I had never given him any such authority. Raymond and I had been careful about those things. Our wills were clear. Our estate plans were documented. Power of attorney required my signature, witnessed and notarized. No such document existed because I had never signed one, which meant Julian had forged it. My phone rang. Julian's number. I almost did not answer. But something told me this call would be important. That whatever Julian said next would tell me exactly how far he was willing to go. "Mom, hey?" Julian's voice sounded strained. "Madison and I were hoping we could come by and talk to you today." "About what, baby?" "Well, we have been worried. About your living situation, your memory. We found this really great place called Willow Creek, and I heard Madison's voice in the background, sharp and insistent." Julian cleared his throat. "Actually, can I call you back? Madison wants to talk to you first." Before I could respond, Madison's voice filled my ear. "Miss Cheryl, we need to have a serious conversation about your health and safety." I kept my voice calm. "What about my health and safety?" "You are living alone in that house. You do not have any support system since Mr. Raymond passed. And we have been noticing some concerning things." "Like what?" "Memory lapses, confusion about dates and appointments, difficulty managing your finances." "I have not had any memory lapses, Madison, and I manage my finances just fine. Miss Cheryl, you called the caterer 3 times last month asking about the wedding menu. You asked the same questions each time. Because I wanted to make sure the food was right for Julian's wedding. That was not memory loss. That was me being thorough." "See, that is exactly what we are talking about. You do not recognize when you are repeating yourself. It is a classic sign of cognitive decline." I set my coffee cup down carefully. "Madison, did you and Julian put a deposit down at Willow Creek Senior Living?" Long pause. "That is what we need to discuss. We found a wonderful facility that specializes in memory care, and who signed the paperwork?" "Julian has your power of attorney." "No, he does not. Miss Cheryl, I think you are confused. We have the documents. Show them to me." "I do not think that is necessary right now. The important thing is we are thinking about Madison. I am 60 years old. I ran a successful restaurant for 42 years. I paid $92,000 for your wedding 6 weeks ago without making a single mistake on any contract or payment. Do I sound confused to you?" Silence. I continued, my voice steady. "Here is what I think happened. I think you and Julian decided that my money should be yours. I think you forged my signature on power of attorney documents. I think you put down a deposit at a nursing home without my knowledge or consent. And I think you are trying to have me declared incompetent so you can steal what is left of the money I got from selling my life's work." Miss Cheryl, that is a very serious accusation. It is also the truth. We are trying to help you. By forging my signature? By lying to nursing homes about having legal authority over my life? Julian got back on the phone. "Mom, please. We are worried about you. Madison thinks Madison can think whatever she wants, but she does not get to decide my future. And neither do you." I hung up, sat there in my quiet kitchen, looked at the nursing home receipt with its forged signature, and I started planning. Because Julian and Madison had made one critical mistake. They assumed a 60-year-old black woman who used to serve fried catfish for a living would not know how to fight back. They had no idea that 42 years of running a business in Memphis had taught me exactly how to handle people who tried to steal from me. Document everything. Build your case, and when you are ready, strike hard enough that they never try it again. I picked up my phone and started making calls. First to my bank, then to my attorney, then to every single vendor who had received my money for Julian's perfect wedding. 43 businesses who were about to learn that the woman who paid their invoices was not nearly as confused as her son claimed. Not confused at all, just very, very angry. Let me back up 4 months to show you how we got here. To February, when Raymond's medical bills finally cleared probate and I had to make the hardest decision of my life. Donovan's Soul Food Kitchen had been in our family since 1978. Raymond and I started with nothing but a dream and a beat-up food truck we bought for $3,000. We parked outside Beale Street every weekend, serving fried catfish, collard greens, and mac and cheese to tourists and locals alike. The first year we barely broke even. The second year we made enough to stop working our day jobs. By 1982, we had saved enough to lease a small storefront on South Parkway. The restaurant became our whole world. Raymond handled the business side, the books, the suppliers, the permits. I ran the kitchen, developed recipes my grandmother had taught me, and added my own touches. Our sweet potato pie became legendary. People would drive from Nashville just to get a slice. By 1995, we had expanded into the space next door. By 2008, we were seating 120 people and had a waiting list every Sunday. We employed 34 people at our peak, fed 3 generations of families, catered weddings, funerals, church gatherings, political fundraisers. Mayors came to our restaurant, gospel singers, NBA players when the Grizzlies came to town. We were not wealthy, but we were stable, respected. We had built something real. Then Raymond started losing weight. Summer of 2022, he dropped 15 pounds in 6 weeks, said he just was not hungry. I made him see Dr. Williams. The tests took 2 weeks. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. 6 months to live. Maybe 9 if treatment went well. Raymond fought like hell. Every chemo session, every radiation treatment, every experimental drug his oncologist could find. Our insurance covered 60%. We paid the rest out of pocket. The first 3 months cost us $78,000. By month 6, we had burned through our savings and taken out a second mortgage on the restaurant property. Raymond died on February 3, 2023. 11 months after his diagnosis, I held his hand in our bedroom while he took his last breath. Our son Julian flew in from Charlotte for the funeral, stayed 3 days, then went back to his life. The medical bills kept coming for another 2 months. Final total, $347,000 after insurance. I did not have it. The restaurant property was worth maybe $500,000, but it was leveraged. Our home had equity, but not enough. So, I called restaurant brokers, got offers, negotiated. In April, I sold Donovan's Soul Food Kitchen to a regional restaurant group for $853,000. They kept the name but changed everything, brought in a new chef, changed the menu, fired half my staff. The sweet potato pie recipe Raymond and I had perfected over 30 years became just another dessert option. I paid off Raymond's medical debt, settled the mortgage on the restaurant property, and walked away with $528,000. I bought a small house in Fraser for $115,000, paid cash. That left me with $413,000 for retirement. Not rich, but enough if I was careful. Julian called the day after I sold. "Mom, this is the best thing that could have happened. You were killing yourself in that kitchen. Now you can finally relax, enjoy life." I wanted to tell him that the restaurant was not killing me. Losing his father was killing me. Selling the business we built together was killing me. Watching strangers change everything Raymond and I had created was killing me. But I just said, "I will be fine, baby." He mentioned he was getting serious with someone. Madison Pierce. Lawyer, from a good family. "I am thinking about proposing soon," he said. "That is wonderful, Julian. Actually, I wanted to ask you something. Would you be willing to help with the wedding costs? I know you just got that money from the sale and Madison's family expects certain things." I should have said no right then. Should have told him that money was supposed to last me 20 or 30 years. Should have explained that I was 60 years old with no income and no retirement plan except what Raymond and I had saved. But he was my son, my only child, and Raymond would have wanted me to help. "How much do you need, baby?" Julian hesitated. "Maybe 80,000? Madison wants a nice wedding. Her family is very traditional about these things. $80,000. 20% of everything I had left. "I will think about it," I said. The engagement happened in March. Julian and Madison came to Memphis so I could meet her. She was beautiful, confident, exactly the kind of woman I had always hoped Julian would find. Educated, ambitious. From a family with connections and money, we had dinner at Folks Folly, one of the nicest restaurants in Memphis. Madison talked about her work at Pierce and Associates, about her family's history in Memphis, about the wedding she had dreamed of since she was a little girl. "Miss Cheryl, I just want you to know how much it means that Julian found someone like you to raise him. A single mother running a business and raising a son, that takes real strength. Thank you, baby. I lost Raymond last year, so it has just been me for a while now." "Oh, I know," Julian told me. Madison reached across the table and squeezed my hand. That restaurant money must be such a blessing. A chance to start fresh. Something in the way she said restaurant money made me pause. Like it was not the earnings from 40 years of work, like it was just unexpected good fortune. I smiled and changed the subject. Over the next 2 months, the wedding plans grew. The venue Madison wanted cost $28,000. The catering was $14,000. Photography was $9,000. Every time Julian called with a new expense, he would say, "I know it is a lot, Mom, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing." By May, I had written checks totaling $92,317, more than I had planned, more than I could afford. But Julian was happy, Madison seemed pleased. And I told myself this was what Raymond would have wanted. Invest in our son's future, help him build a life. The wedding on May 20th was beautiful. The Germantown mansion was decorated like something from a magazine. Madison's family filled the front rows. I sat in the third row, behind aunts and uncles I had never met. During the reception, I tried to talk to Madison's mother, Judge Victoria Pierce. She smiled politely and said how nice it was that I could contribute so much to the young couple's special day. Contribute. Like I was a guest making a donation instead of the mother of the groom who had paid for almost everything. 2 weeks after the wedding, the nursing home paperwork arrived. And I understood that Julian and Madison had never seen me as family. They had seen me as a bank account. One they planned to drain completely. The first call I made was to Angela Martinez at First Tennessee Bank. Angela had been my banker for 18 years. She had processed the restaurant sale, helped me buy the house in Fraser, and knew every dollar in my accounts. "Angela, this is Cheryl Donovan. I need to come in immediately. There has been an attempt to access my accounts that I need to discuss with you. Can you be here in 30 minutes? I can be there in 15. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Angela's office with the Willow Creek receipt spread across her desk. She read it twice, her expression darkening with each line. "Cheryl, when did you sign this?" "I did not. Someone forged my signature and used it to withdraw $24,000 from my savings account." Angela pulled up my account on her computer. "I see the withdrawal. June 8th. Authorized by Julian Donovan as power of attorney." She looked up at me. "You gave your son power of attorney?" "No. I have never signed any such document." Angela's jaw tightened. "Stay here." She left her office and returned 5 minutes later with a file folder. Inside were photocopies of power of attorney documents. My signature was on the bottom of each page, supposedly witnessed and notarized on April 15th. I examined them carefully. The signature was close but not perfect. My real signature has a specific way I cross the T in my last name, a habit from 40 years of signing checks for the restaurant. This signature was too careful, too measured. "This is not my signature, Angela. Are you absolutely certain?" "I signed my name at least 50 times a day for 4 decades. I know my own signature. This is a forgery." Angela made notes on a legal pad. "Cheryl, you understand what this means. Your son committed bank fraud." "I know. Do you want to press charges?" "I want this documented." I want every account frozen except for my personal checking. I want any future attempts to access my money blocked immediately. And I want copies of everything. Already printing them. Angela handed me a stack of papers. I also need to tell you something else. Julian called last week asking about your account balances. I told him I could not share that information without your written consent. He said he was concerned about your mental state and wanted to make sure you were not making poor financial decisions. My mental state. What did you tell him? I told him that your financial management was exemplary and that I had no concerns about your cognitive function whatsoever. Angela leaned forward. Cheryl, I have seen this before. Adult children who think their parents are sitting on money that should be theirs. It never ends well. I gathered the papers. It is going to end exactly how I want it to end. My second call was to Patricia Hayes, my attorney. Patricia had handled the restaurant sale and Raymond's estate. She was a no-nonsense black woman in her 50s who had built her practice from nothing, just like Raymond and I had built our restaurant. Patricia, I need you to do 3 things. File a police report for identity theft and forgery. Send cease and desist letters to Julian and Madison. And help me understand my options for getting my money back. She listened to everything, asked sharp questions, took detailed notes. The police report is straightforward. The cease and desist letters I can have drafted by tomorrow. As for getting your money back, that depends on whether you want to pursue criminal charges or handle this civilly. What is the difference? Criminal charges mean Julian could face jail time for fraud and identity theft. Civil means you sue for the money, and he pays it back with interest and penalties. He does not go to jail, but his credit gets destroyed, and the judgment follows him for years. Can I do both? Technically, yes. File criminal charges and pursue civil damages simultaneously. Patricia paused. Cheryl, he is your son. Are you sure you want to go that far? I thought about Raymond, about the restaurant we built, about 42 years of work that became $853,000, about the $92,000 I spent on a wedding for a son who thanked me by trying to steal the rest, I am sure. My third call was to the wedding vendors. I started with the venue, Germantown Estate. I spoke with Caroline Mitchell, the event coordinator who had walked me through every detail of Madison's dream wedding. Miss Mitchell, this is Cheryl Donovan. I paid for the Miller-Pierce wedding on May 20th. I need to discuss a contract issue. Of course, Miss Donovan. How can I help? I was defrauded. The wedding was arranged under false pretenses. My son and his wife took my money knowing they planned to have me declared mentally incompetent so they could steal my remaining assets. That means the contract was obtained through fraud, which makes it voidable. Long pause. Miss Donovan, I am not sure I understand. The wedding happened. We provided all services as contracted. You did. But I paid for those services believing I was helping my son start his marriage. Instead, I was funding 2 people who were actively planning to rob me. That changes everything. I do not think we can refund services already rendered. Actually, under Tennessee contract law, when a contract is obtained through fraud or misrepresentation, the injured party can demand restitution. I have an attorney who will be happy to explain this to your legal department. Or you can return my $28,000 and we can part ways amicably. Another pause. I need to speak with our management team. You do that, and while you are speaking with them, you might want to consider how it looks that your venue hosted a wedding funded by elder financial abuse. Cheryl, wait. I will call you back within 2 hours. I moved down my list. The catering company was next, then the photographer, then the florist. Each call followed the same pattern. Polite explanation, clear demand, subtle threat about publicity. Some were sympathetic, others were hostile. One vendor actually hung up on me, but they all understood one thing. A woman who could systematically work through 43 vendor contracts in one afternoon was not suffering from dementia. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, I had contacted 18 vendors. My phone started ringing around 5, Julian's number. I let it go to voicemail. Then Madison called, also ignored. Then Julian again. The fourth call, I answered. Mom, what are you doing? Protecting my money from theft, baby. The vendors are calling us. They are saying you want refunds for the wedding. They are demanding payment from us directly. That sounds like a problem you need to solve. We do not have that kind of money. We spent everything on the honeymoon and our apartment deposit. You spent my $92,000, and now you are trying to take the rest through fraud. So yes, I imagine you do have a problem. Mom, please, we can work this out. Can we? Because I have forged power of attorney documents at my bank. I have a $24,000 nursing home deposit I never authorized, and I have recordings of you and Madison trying to convince me I have dementia. What recordings? Every conversation we have had since you started this scheme. Tennessee is a one-party consent state. Every word you and Madison said is admissible in court. The line went quiet. Here is what is going to happen, Julian. You and Madison are going to figure out how to pay every single vendor I have contacted. You are going to do it within 30 days. And you are never going to contact Willow Creek, claim power of attorney, or come near my money again. And if we cannot pay, then you will learn what it feels like to have your life's work stolen from you. Just like I did when I had to sell my restaurant. Just like I did again when you tried to steal what was left. Mom, we made a mistake. You made a choice. Now you live with the consequences. I hung up and turned off my phone, sat in my quiet kitchen and felt something I had not felt in months. Power, control. The certainty that I was not a victim anymore. Julian and Madison thought they were dealing with a confused old woman. They were about to learn they were dealing with a woman who had survived 42 years in the restaurant business, who had negotiated with suppliers, handled difficult customers, managed employees, and kept a business alive through recessions and competition and every challenge Memphis could throw at her. They picked the wrong woman to steal from, and they were about to find out exactly how expensive that mistake would be. Julian showed up at my house the next morning. I watched through the window as his silver Lexus pulled into my driveway at 7:30. Madison was in the passenger seat, talking rapidly on her phone. Julian sat there for 5 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, before he finally got out and walked to my door. I let him ring the doorbell 3 times before I opened it. He looked terrible. Eyes red, hair uncombed, wearing the same clothes he had on in the photos from his honeymoon 2 weeks ago. Mom, we need to talk. Come in. He walked past me into the living room, the room where his father had watched football games and fallen asleep in the recliner every Sunday, where we had celebrated Julian's college acceptance, where Raymond had sat during his final months when he was too weak to do much else. Can Madison come in? She is making calls. She can wait in the car. Julian sat down on the couch, put his head in his hands. Mom, the vendors are destroying us. The venue wants their money back by Friday, or they are filing a lawsuit. The caterer is threatening to put a lien on our apartment. The photographer is posting about us on social media. What is she posting? That we are scam artists who got our wedding for free and are now refusing to pay. Her post has 800 shares. Madison's law firm called her in yesterday to discuss whether this reflects poorly on their reputation. I sat down in Raymond's chair. Sounds like you have quite a problem. We cannot pay them back, Mom. We do not have $92,000. We spent it. Then you should not have tried to steal more from me. That is not fair. What is not fair, Julian? You came into my house 6 weeks ago and forged my signature on power of attorney documents. You put down a deposit at a nursing home without my knowledge. You told a bank you had legal authority over my finances. You called vendors and told them I had dementia. Every single thing you did was fraud. We were trying to help you. By stealing my money? Julian stood up, started pacing. Madison said you were showing signs of confusion, that you needed professional care, that if we did not step in, you might lose everything. Madison said, "Everything in this scheme came from Madison, did it not?" "No. I mean, she researched the options, but Julian, she researched how to steal from me. She found Willow Creek. She drafted the fake power of attorney. She convinced you I was losing my mind so you would not feel guilty about robbing your own mother. That is not how it happened. Then, how did it happen, baby? Tell me." Julian sat back down, looked at his hands. "It started in March, right after we got engaged. Madison said her parents were not going to help with the wedding. They thought she was marrying beneath her station, that I was not good enough because I did not come from old Memphis money. I stayed quiet, let him talk. She was upset. Said we had to have a perfect wedding to prove to her family that we were successful, that we belonged in their world. And she said you had all this money from selling the restaurant. Money you did not really need because you were just one person living alone. Money that would eventually be mine anyway when you passed. Eventually be yours when I passed, Julian." She made it sound reasonable. Like we were just accessing your inheritance a little early. Like you would want us to have a good start to our marriage. And the nursing home scheme? That came later. After you paid for the wedding, Madison said we needed to make sure the rest of your money was protected, that you might make poor decisions or get scammed by someone else. She said the best thing was to get power of attorney and move you somewhere safe, somewhere we could manage your finances and make sure you were taken care of. I leaned forward. "Julian, do I seem confused to you right now?" "No." "Did I seem confused when I was planning your wedding? When I was writing checks and signing contracts and coordinating with vendors?" "No." "So when exactly did Madison decide I had dementia?" Julian was crying now. Soft, quiet tears. "I do not know, Mom. I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her family to respect me. And she said this was the way. You chose her happiness over my freedom. You chose her family's respect over your own mother's rights. And now you are sitting in my living room crying because the consequences are destroying your life. I am sorry. Are you sorry you did it? Or are you sorry you got caught?" "Both. I guess both." I stood up. "Here is what is going to happen. You are going to go back to Charlotte. You are going to find a way to pay those vendors. I do not care if you take out loans, sell your car, or beg Madison's family for money, but you are going to pay them. We cannot, Mom. The interest rates on loans right now, we would be in debt for years. Then you will be in debt for years. That is what happens when you try to steal from people. You wanted my money so badly, now you can work for it the way I did. 42 years of working 6 days a week. That is how I earned what you tried to take in 6 weeks." Julian wiped his eyes. "What about us? What about our relationship? That depends entirely on you. If you pay back those vendors and leave me alone, maybe someday we can rebuild something. If you keep fighting this, if Madison convinces you to sue me or challenge me legally, then you will never see me again. And when I die, every dollar I have goes to charity. Your choice." "What about Madison? What about her? Do you want me to leave her? I want you to open your eyes and see what she did to you, to us. She found your weakness, your insecurity about not being good enough for her family, and she used it to manipulate you into robbing your own mother. That is not love, Julian. That is control. You do not understand her. I understand her perfectly. She is a lawyer from a wealthy family who thought she could marry you and get access to my money. When that did not work fast enough, she convinced you to steal it. And now that her plan has fallen apart, she is probably already planning her exit strategy. Madison loves me, does she? Or does she love what she thought you could give her?" Julian stood up. His face was flushed with anger now instead of tears. "You do not know her like I do. You are right. I only know what she did. And what she did was commit fraud against a 60-year-old woman who had just lost her husband and her business. What she did was plan to lock me in a nursing home so she could spend my money. What she did was destroy my relationship with my only child. That is not I held up my hand. Go home, Julian. Figure out how to pay those vendors, and decide whether you want to be married to a woman who would do this to your mother. Because that is the woman you will be raising children with someday. That is the woman who will teach your kids what is acceptable behavior. Is that really what you want? He walked to the door, stopped with his hand on the knob. I love you, Mom. I know you do, baby. But love is not enough when someone is stealing from you. Love does not excuse fraud. And love definitely does not mean I have to let you and Madison destroy the life I built with your father. He left. I watched through the window as he got back in the car. Madison was still on her phone, barely looking at him as he climbed in. They sat there for a few minutes, clearly arguing. Then Madison threw her phone down and the car peeled out of my driveway. My phone rang 5 minutes later. Unknown number. I answered. Miss Donovan? This is Caroline Mitchell from Germantown Estate. We have decided to refund your venue fee in full. $28,000 will be returned to your account within 5 business days. Thank you, Caroline. We ask only that you not pursue any further legal action or public statements about our venue. I have no interest in hurting your business, Caroline. I just wanted my money back. The calls continued throughout the day. The caterer agreed to return $12,000. The photographer agreed to return $7,000. The florist, the band, the transportation company. One by one, they called with settlements. Some paid in full, others offered partial refunds. By the end of the day, I had agreements for $61,000 to be returned. Not the full $92,000 I had spent, but enough to prove my point. Enough to show Julian and Madison that stealing from me came with consequences. Enough to make them understand that this 60-year-old black woman from East Memphis was not someone to underestimate. That night I sat in Raymond's chair and thought about what came next, because this was not over. Madison was not the type to accept defeat quietly, and Julian was weak enough to believe whatever story she told him next. The real fight was just beginning. Madison's counterattack came 3 days later on social media. I woke up Saturday morning to 17 missed calls and 32 text messages, all from people I had known for years, all asking if I was okay. Turns out Madison had spent her Friday night crafting a very different story about our family situation. Her Facebook post, shared at 11:45 the previous night, already had 437 shares. It breaks my heart to share this, but my mother-in-law is suffering from early-stage dementia and has become increasingly paranoid and hostile. Yesterday, she accused us of stealing from her and threatened to destroy us financially. We are asking for prayers as we navigate getting her the professional help she desperately needs. #eldercare, #dementia, #family struggles. The comments were exactly what you would expect. Lots of heart emojis, lots of prayers for your family. Lots of people sharing their own dementia stories. Madison's law firm colleagues chiming in with support. So sorry you are going through this. Dementia is so hard on families. You are so brave for speaking out. But Madison made a critical mistake. She tagged the wedding venue in her post, thanking them for their beautiful space and understanding during this difficult family time. Within an hour, Caroline Mitchell from Germantown Estate had commented, "Actually, we refunded Miss Donovan's payment in full because her account of events was backed by documentation and witness testimony. There are no dementia concerns on our end." That comment got 200 likes in 30 minutes. Then Angela Martinez from First Tennessee Bank added her own comment. "I have worked with Miss Cheryl Donovan for 18 years. Her mental acuity and financial management skills are exemplary. Anyone claiming otherwise has not actually examined her cognitive function." My attorney Patricia Hayes posted next, "Miss Donovan is my client. She is sharp, articulate, and fully competent. The real story here involves forged documents and identity theft, not dementia. I watched the comments shift in real time. People started asking questions. If Cheryl Donovan has dementia, how did she negotiate refunds with multiple vendors? How did she organize all this documentation? Why are professionals who work with her saying she is fine? Madison tried to control the narrative. She posted follow-up comments about how dementia patients can seem normal in short interactions, how family members see things that strangers miss, how difficult it is when a loved one does not recognize their own decline. But then Reverend James Thompson from my church posted a long comment. I have known Cheryl Donovan for 23 years. She coordinates our food drives, manages our community outreach budget, and just last week helped us navigate a complex insurance claim for storm damage to our fellowship hall. This woman's mind is as sharp as anyone I know. These accusations are not just false, they are cruel. By Sunday morning, Madison had deleted her original post, but screenshots do not disappear. Half my church had saved copies. Angela had saved it. Patricia had saved it, and I had saved it, along with every comment, because I knew exactly what this was: evidence. Madison Pierce, attorney at law, had just committed defamation in writing. Patricia called me Sunday afternoon. Cheryl, that Facebook post is a gift. She made specific claims about your mental health that are provably false. That is textbook defamation. We can add it to the civil suit. How much does something like that cost her? Depends on the jury, but we are looking at emotional distress damages, reputational harm, possibly punitive damages since she is a lawyer and should know better. Could be $50,000, could be more. File it. I want her to understand that every lie has a price. Monday morning brought a new problem. Julian called from a number I did not recognize. Mom, Madison's firm put her on administrative leave. What? The Facebook post. Her supervising partners saw it and the comments. They are concerned about her judgment. They asked her to take 2 weeks off while they review whether this reflects poorly on Pierce and Associates. That is not my problem, Julian. Mom, her career is falling apart. She might lose her job. She made a choice to publicly defame me on social media. Actions have consequences. Please. She is my wife. I love her. Then you should have thought about that before you helped her try to steal my money. I hung up, felt a small stab of guilt, but then I remembered the nursing home paperwork with my forged signature. Remembered Madison's voice on that recorded call, so certain that I was too old and confused to fight back. Remembered 42 years of hard work that they tried to take in 6 weeks. The guilt disappeared. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown Memphis number. Miss Donovan, this is Victoria Pierce, Madison's mother, Judge Pierce. What can I do for you? We need to talk about this situation with Madison and Julian. What situation is that? This vendetta you are pursuing against my daughter. I have been reviewing the facts. Madison made some errors in judgment, but you are destroying her career over what amounts to a family misunderstanding. Judge Pierce, your daughter forged my signature multiple times. She committed bank fraud. She attempted to have me illegally committed to a nursing home. And when I fought back, she publicly defamed me on social media. Those are not errors in judgment. Those are crimes. My voice stayed calm, but every word was steel. You are being vindictive. I am being protective of my rights and my money. Your daughter tried to steal from me. Now she is facing consequences. That is not vindictiveness, that is justice. She is a young woman who made mistakes. She is a 26-year-old attorney who knew exactly what she was doing. She researched elder abuse tactics. She manipulated my son. She forged legal documents. Those are not the actions of someone who made innocent mistakes. Victoria's tone shifted. Cold now instead of imperious. What do you want? Excuse me? What will it take for you to drop this? To leave Madison alone? I want my $92,000 back. I want Julian and Madison to pay every vendor they owe. I want a written apology from Madison acknowledging what she did. And I want a guarantee that neither of them will ever come near me or my money again. That is extortion. No, Judge Pierce. That is restitution. Your daughter stole from me. I am simply asking to be made whole. There is nothing extortionate about demanding that a thief return what they took. Madison does not have that kind of money. Then she should not have spent it. Look, I understand you are upset, but you need to consider what is reasonable here. What is reasonable, Judge Pierce, is that your daughter faces the same consequences anyone else would face for fraud and identity theft. Would you let another defendant walk away from charges like this, just because they were young and made mistakes? Or would you expect them to make restitution and accept responsibility for their actions? Silence on the line. I am trying to protect my daughter. I am trying to protect myself. Your daughter targeted me because she thought a 60-year-old black woman who used to run a restaurant would not know how to fight back. She was wrong. And now she is learning that underestimating people has consequences. This is not over. You are right. It is not over. It is over when I get my money back and Madison accepts responsibility for what she did. Until then, every legal option I have is on the table. I hung up and sat very still. A judge had just threatened me. Madison's mother, a woman with power and connections in Memphis legal circles, had just made it clear she would use that power to protect her daughter. But I had something Victoria Pierce did not have. I had the truth. I had documentation. I had witnesses. And I had 42 years of experience dealing with people who thought they could intimidate me into backing down. They were all about to learn the same lesson. Cheryl Donovan does not back down. The pressure on Julian and Madison increased every day. By the end of the second week, I had 21 vendors who had either refunded my money or agreed to payment plans. The remaining vendors had filed lawsuits. Julian was being sued for $63,000. Madison's name was on several of the suits as well, since she had signed some contracts as co-planner. Patricia called with updates daily. The photographer is demanding $9,000 plus legal fees. The band filed this morning for $7,000. The cake decorator, the lighting company, the valet service. They are all coming after Julian and Madison now. Good. Let them learn what it feels like to be buried in debt they cannot pay. There is something else, Cheryl. The district attorney's office called. They want to meet with you about pressing criminal charges. When? Tomorrow, if you are available. They have reviewed the forged documents, the bank records, and your recorded conversations. They think they have a strong case for fraud and identity theft. I met with Assistant District Attorney Marcus Webb on Thursday afternoon. He was a black man in his 40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. He laid out copies of all my evidence across the conference table. Miss Donovan, this is one of the clearest cases of elder financial abuse I have seen in 15 years. What are we looking at for charges? Identity theft, forgery, bank fraud, attempted exploitation of an elderly person. Your son could face 3 to 5 years. Madison Pierce, given her legal background, could face 5 to 8. She knew better. And if I do not press charges, then this stays civil. They pay you back, their credit is destroyed, but no jail time. But Miss Donovan, people like this do not stop unless they are forced to. If you let this go, they will try again. Maybe not with you, but with someone else. I thought about that, about Madison finding another vulnerable person to steal from, another elderly parent, another trusting relative. I want to press charges. You are sure? Once we file, there is no going back. Your son will have a criminal record. My son forged my signature and tried to have me locked in a nursing home. He made his choice. Now he lives with the consequences. Marcus nodded. We will file the charges next week. Be prepared. This is going to get ugly. Julian called that night. His voice was shaking. Mom, Madison's firm fired her today. I am sorry to hear that. They said the lawsuits, and the criminal investigation were too much. That she is a liability to their reputation. She worked so hard for that job. She should have thought about that before she committed fraud. Mom, please. She is falling apart. She is talking about leaving me, saying this is all my fault for not standing up to you, for letting you destroy our lives. I destroyed your lives? You tried to steal everything I had. You forged documents. You lied to banks. You planned to lock me away so you could spend my money. I fought back. That is not destroying your lives. That is protecting mine. We made a mistake. You made a choice. There is a difference. The line went quiet except for Julian crying. Mom, I do not know what to do. I am being sued by 12 different companies. Madison lost her job. The DA wants to prosecute us. I do not have the money to fix any of this. Then you will need to figure it out. Get a loan. Sell your car. Ask Madison's family for help. But you will not get another dime from me. What you took was the last money you will ever see from me. But I am your son. You are my son who stole from me. That does not go away just because you are scared now. That does not disappear because the consequences are harder than you expected. I love you. I know you do. But love is not enough. Trust is what matters. And you destroyed that the day you forged my signature. Julian, I raised you better than this. Your father would be ashamed. Do not bring Dad into this. Why not? He worked himself to death building that restaurant. He fought cancer for 11 months while we watched our savings disappear. And when he died, I sold everything we built to pay his medical bills. That money was all I had left of 42 years of marriage. And you tried to steal it 6 weeks, after spending $92,000 of it on your wedding. The line went dead. He had hung up. I sat in the dark living room, in Raymond's chair, and let myself feel it. The grief, the betrayal, the loss of my son, not to death but to greed. It hurt in ways I had not expected. But I did not cry. I had cried enough when Raymond died, when I sold the restaurant, when I realized my son had become someone I did not recognize. Now I was done crying. Now I was just waiting for justice. Reverend Thompson called me Friday morning. Cheryl, I heard about what is happening with Julian and Madison. I am so sorry you are going through this. Thank you, Reverend. Word travels fast in Memphis. It does. And I want you to know that our church family stands with you. In fact, I would like to offer you an opportunity this Sunday. What kind of opportunity? We are having our community financial literacy event. Teaching people about protecting themselves from scams and financial abuse. I think your story could help a lot of families. Would you be willing to share what happened? I thought about it, standing up in front of my church, telling everyone how my son tried to steal from me. It would be humiliating, but it would also be the truth, and maybe it would stop someone else from going through what I had experienced. I will do it. Sunday morning, Greater Hope Baptist Church was packed. 347 people according to the sign-in sheet. Our regular congregation, plus people from other churches who had heard about the financial literacy event. I sat in the third row, my hands folded in my lap, trying to steady my breathing. Reverend Thompson introduced the topic. Financial abuse of elderly family members is one of the fastest-growing crimes in America. Today, one of our own is going to share her experience. Sister Cheryl Donovan has been a member of this church for 23 years. She and her late husband Raymond built Donovan's Soul Food Kitchen from nothing. She is a woman of strength, wisdom, and faith. And she is going to tell you what happened when her own family tried to steal from her. I walked to the front, looked out at 300 faces, some I had known for decades. I saw Angela Martinez from the bank. I saw Patricia Hayes, my attorney. I saw neighbors from my old street and customers from the restaurant. And I saw Julian and Madison sitting in the very back row. Madison must have convinced him to come, probably hoping to control the narrative one more time. My name is Cheryl Donovan. 3 months ago, I sold my family's restaurant to pay for my late husband's medical bills. That sale gave me $853,000. My son Julian asked me to help pay for his wedding. I spent $92,000 to give him and his new wife Madison the perfect day. I paused. Let that number sink in. 2 weeks after the wedding, I received paperwork showing that someone had forged my signature to place a $24,000 deposit at a nursing home. When I confronted my son, he claimed I had dementia and needed professional care. He and Madison had created fake power of attorney documents. They told my bank they had legal authority over my accounts. They planned to have me declared mentally incompetent so they could take the rest of my money. The church was absolutely silent. I could see people turning around to stare at Julian and Madison in the back row, but I did not stop. I played the recording. 47 minutes condensed to 10 minutes of the most damaging parts. Madison's voice filled the church. "Miss Cheryl, you clearly cannot handle complex financial decisions anymore. The nursing home deposit proves you are confused about your own affairs." Then Julian's voice. "Mom, you are showing signs of confusion, memory problems. Dr. Harrison thinks you might be developing dementia." I stopped the recording. Dr. Harrison does not exist. There was no medical evaluation. This was a lie designed to justify stealing my money. And it almost worked. I held up the forged documents. These are fake power of attorney papers with my forged signature. These are fake nursing home contracts. These are bank records showing attempted fraud. And these are the lawsuit filings from vendors who Julian and Madison cannot pay because they spent my money and then tried to steal more. Angela Martinez stood up. "I need to say something. I have been Miss Donovan's banker for 18 years. Her financial management is flawless. There is no dementia. There is no confusion. There is only a clear case of elder financial abuse." Patricia Hayes stood next. "I am Miss Donovan's attorney. The evidence is overwhelming. The district attorney is filing criminal charges next week for fraud, forgery, and identity theft. This is not a family disagreement. This is a crime." I looked directly at Julian and Madison in the back row. I loved my son. I gave him everything I had, and he repaid me by trying to lock me in a nursing home so he could steal my life savings. I am sharing this today not for revenge, but as a warning. This can happen to anyone, your own children, your own family, the people you trust most. Document everything, keep your own records, and if someone tries to take your power away, fight back with everything you have, because your dignity and your independence are worth fighting for. I walked back to my seat. The church erupted, not in applause, but in shocked conversation. People were standing up, pointing at Julian and Madison. Several people walked over to them, clearly confronting them. I watched Julian's face crumble, watched Madison grab her purse and push toward the exit. They ran, literally ran from the church while 300 people watched. And I felt something I had not felt in months. Peace, not happiness, not satisfaction. Just the quiet peace of knowing I had told the truth, and the truth had won. The criminal charges were filed Tuesday morning. Julian was charged with identity theft, forgery, and attempted exploitation of an elderly person. Madison faced the same charges plus practicing fraud while holding a law license. The Memphis News picked up the story that afternoon. Attorney charged with elder abuse scheme against mother-in-law. The details were all there. The forged documents, the fake nursing home deposit, the recorded conversations. Patricia called with updates throughout the week. Julian's attorney called. "They want to negotiate a plea deal." "What are they offering?" "Julian pleads guilty to 1 count of forgery. Probation, community service, full restitution, no jail time. And Madison, her attorney is fighting everything. Claims you manipulated the evidence. That you are running a vendetta against a young black woman trying to build her career." Of course she is. What does the DA say? Marcus Webb is not backing down. He has the recordings, the bank records, the witnesses. Madison's defense is not going to work. The trial is set for October. Julian called me Wednesday night. Mom, my attorney says if I plead guilty, I might avoid jail time, but I will have a felony record. What do you want me to tell you, Julian? That I am sorry your choices have consequences? You forged my signature. You tried to steal my money. You deserve whatever punishment the court decides. I know. His voice was so quiet I almost could not hear him. Madison left me yesterday, packed her things while I was at work, left a note saying she could not be married to someone who destroyed her career. I am sorry. Are you? Because you warned me. You told me she was using me. I did not listen. No, you did not. Mom, I do not know how to fix this. You cannot fix it, baby. You can only accept it and do better. Take the plea deal, do your community service, pay back the vendors, and spend the rest of your life proving you learned something from this. Will you ever forgive me? I thought about that. About Raymond. About the restaurant. About 42 years of building something that Julian tried to destroy in 6 weeks. I do not know. Maybe someday. But not today. Not while I am still fighting to get my money back. Not while I am still dealing with lawsuits and attorneys and the wreckage you left behind. Then what do? You grow up. You accept that you hurt me in ways that do not heal quickly. And you give me the space I need to decide if I want you in my life again. I hung up before he could respond. Before I could hear him cry. Before my own resolve could weaken. Julian took the plea deal Friday morning. 2 years probation, 300 hours of community service. Full restitution of $78,000 to me and the vendors. His attorney released a statement. Mr. Donovan deeply regrets his actions and takes full responsibility for the pain he caused his mother. Madison's trial was set for October 15th, but her attorney was already making noise about appeals and procedural issues. Patricia did not think Madison would see jail time, but she would lose her law license permanently. Her legal career was over before it really began. The vendors settled their lawsuits one by one. Some took payment plans. Others accepted partial settlements. By September, I had recovered $84,000 of the $92,000 I had spent. Not everything, but enough. Enough to prove I had been right to fight back. Enough to show that even a 60-year-old black woman from East Memphis could take on a Georgetown MBA and a lawyer from a powerful family and win. Enough to know that Raymond would have been proud. 6 months later, I stood in my kitchen making sweet potato pie, Raymond's recipe, the one we had perfected over 30 years at the restaurant. I was not running a business anymore, but I could still bake for the people I loved. Julian had completed half his community service hours. He called every Sunday, brief conversations where he updated me on his progress. He had moved into a small apartment, taken a job that paid half what he used to make, and was slowly paying back what he owed. We were not close. We might never be close again, but we were talking. That was something. Madison's trial had ended in November. She was convicted on 3 counts and sentenced to 18 months, suspended to probation and 500 hours of community service. Her law license was revoked permanently. Last I heard, she was working retail in Nashville, far from Memphis and her family's reputation. Judge Victoria Pierce retired quietly in December. The scandal had damaged her standing in Memphis legal circles. People remembered that her daughter had committed crimes and that Victoria had tried to use her influence to make it go away. I had recovered $87,000 total. Not the full $92,000, but close enough. My savings account was stable again. My house was paid for. I was 60 years old with enough money to live comfortably for the next 20 or 30 years if I was careful. Raymond's medical bills were paid. His memory was honored. And I had proven that no one, not even my own son, could take from me what I was not willing to give. The hardest part was not the money. It was the loss. Julian was alive, but our relationship was broken in ways I did not know how to fix. Every Sunday phone call was awkward, careful, full of things we could not say. He had stolen from me. I had destroyed his marriage and his career. We both knew these things were true, and we both had to live with them. But I had also learned something valuable. I was stronger than I thought, smarter than people assumed, capable of fighting battles I never wanted to fight. 42 years of running a restaurant had taught me more than how to make good food. It had taught me how to negotiate, how to stand my ground, how to protect what was mine. Some people thought I was too harsh on Julian, that I should have forgiven him, let it go, been the bigger person. But those people did not understand what it felt like to have your own child look at you and see only a bank account. They did not understand the violation of forged signatures and fake documents. They did not understand that forgiveness without accountability is just permission to do it again. I set the sweet potato pie in the oven and looked around my small kitchen. This was not the restaurant. This was not the big house Raymond and I had shared. This was not the life I had imagined for my 60s, but it was mine. Earned through decades of work, protected through months of fighting, and no one, not Julian, not Madison, not anyone, could take it from me again. The timer rang, the pie was ready, and so was I. Ready to live the rest of my life on my own terms. Ready to build something new from what was left. Ready to prove that being underestimated was sometimes the greatest advantage of all. Because nobody expects a 60-year-old black woman who used to run a soul food restaurant to be the one who brings down a Georgetown MBA and a lawyer from old Memphis money. Nobody expects her to win, but I did. And that was enough. Where are you listening from right now? What city? What state? What country? Drop it in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach across the world. Thanks for listening. Remember, never underestimate someone just because they are 60 years old and used to run a restaurant. 42 years of negotiating with suppliers, managing employees, and surviving in business teaches you exactly how to handle people who think they can steal from you. See you in the next story.